Okay, gang, so today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. A different genre of content, as you will. Starting on YouTube, creating content, I found it's really challenging to be able to balance life with creating content on an online platform. Life throws some freaking boulders of pebbles in the road, and it can be really challenging to keep on going forward for sure. I'm thinking like 2020 has this like giant Santa sack full of like Pompeii-sized volcano rocks, and it's just like continuing to chuck them. Modern day Jumanji. Every single content creator has experienced some form of burnout or stress when it comes to facing conflicts inside or outside the online environment. For example, starting creators are attempting to have a full-time job while also trying to go full-time with their YouTube career, which can be heckin' tough. With all these factors in mind today, I want to talk about developing the online mindset. With the challenges that face us in our everyday lives, it's important to be cognizant of the online environment that you're facing and the ability that you possess in order to face that environment. In the grand scheme of being a content creator and being on a platform, you do not owe anyone anything, but developing stronger bonds with your people comes with some sacrifices as well. Trying to deliver a discussion like this can be difficult because the audiences from different content creators look drastically different. But never fear, I am here, and I'm going to try to explain this the best I can. In terms of developing the online mindset, we are going to talk about 6 key elements to consider when starting to join an online platform. Well, let's
stop lollygagging and let's get to work.
First element I want to discuss is communicating to your people. There's a whole abundance of reasons that you might be stepping away from a platform, and sometimes you might just need a break. This might not even be due to any health conditions or any mental state, but just purely because you need to take that breather away from that environment, because it can be very overwhelming. But it's important that you inform your audience that you are making that step away from the platform. And this can be done through any form of social media such as Twitter, Instagram, any outlet that you feel that you are active on and that you know your audience can reach you through, you can post to in order to inform them. Making this first step to communicating shows that you care and you're still looking to establish this bond with them. For example, think about a dog, specifically 2 dogs. Each of these dogs belongs to a different owner. One owner goes to the grocery store for 45 minutes. The other owner abandons the dog. Not ideal, I know. I love dogs too. The audience, aka the dog, knows the owner is coming back and has set that expectation. Whereas on the other end, the dog that was abandoned doesn't even know it's been abandoned yet, and then it has to establish its survival instinct. Just like a community has to establish their survival instincts without seeing the next Unis Honest video. All jokes aside, communication is a key factor in establishing your audience, and it gives you a good sense of the type of cradling support that you are getting from said audience. Now, this should not be a method to bait compliments from your audience or gain attention or gain viewership or any statistics that you might see on your YouTube channel just because you got the thumbnail and the lowercase letters say, I am leaving ... That should not be the intention of you stepping away. It should be legitimately because you need to take a breather from the platform. As hard as it may be to believe, your content has a crucial impact on your current audience, and they have to plan for that content not being there on a daily basis when they're looking to come back and see some really good stuff. So let them know that you're stepping away and give a well-understood reason of why you're doing so. Now, you don't have to be super specific, but just a general understanding of, are you going to die? The next factor is understanding the no-nos of discussion. You know, there's a classic saying of, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. These different audiences that I mentioned before all prefer different sets of humor and the way that they receive information from their favorite content creators. So when you start up and enter this environment, it's important that you know what kind of humor, what kind of information delivery, and what kind of voice that they prefer. I don't think this is a space where I should be giving specific examples of people or events that might be bad examples and things to avoid, but apply common sense and do not cross over into more of those sensitive topics. So like trying to veer away from government, politics, cultural beliefs, but know that these platforms are an open forum to post your opinion. So if you feel confident that the people in your audience will back you and support you through these decisions, and if you're prepared for the potential backlash that may come of it, the freedom is yours. The next element is the concept of balancing publicity with privacy. You are purposely expressing yourself and your life to the entire world, potentially. This topic actually involves a conversation I had with one of my friends who is actually an influencer on the YouTube platform. This lovely individual is Brenly Carmine. Brenly has been a content creator on YouTube and other platforms since his mid-teens, and he has grown a substantial amount of following on other platforms such as Instagram and TikTok. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about some of the important elements to keep in mind when keeping track of your own privacy. Some of those privacy elements or possibilities included resurfacing past information, being recognized in a public space, and of course, the amount of followers and subscriber count leading into a factor to affect privacy as a whole. Because when you least expect it, there could be somebody on one of those platforms that recognizes you from the past, because people interact with hundreds of communities through all walks of life. And they could forget about those connections and thus forget about certain things that might have happened in their past. When reaching a certain point of popularity, it is possible you're going to run into one of your fans or one of your community members, so you need to be prepared to have that conversation with them, and depending if the conversation is going to be positive or negative. Mr. Carmine had mentioned that 100,000 followers / subscribers is usually a good number to sit at. This is mostly because when looking at this balance between publicity and privacy, this is like the main balance point that you'll find between the two. Because as the number of followers increases, your margin of privacy decreases exponentially. So you need to find that balance in between, which Mr. Carmine had mentioned is 100,000. Again, thank you, Brenly, for being down to chat.
He also has a Twitch channel. I'll leave his social media in the description below.
The next element that we're going to discuss in terms of the online mindset is going to be speech and language. It's good to establish your normal or your home tone that you want to use to express your thoughts and opinions to your audience. Because depending on where you sit with your actual personality in terms of what language style that you're using, there's a level of genuineness that changes depending on how close you are to your true personality. I'm going to be talking about two YouTubers that I feel have a strong understanding about their own personalities and the way that they present themselves on their own platforms. These two YouTubers will be discussed in terms of 3 factors that will be used to compare them in terms of their own audiences, and will be used as grounds to discuss the certain factors that you should keep in mind when establishing a speech, tone, and overall characteristic of your personality on your platform. The 3 factors are structure of speech, tone, and ability to communicate. The first YouTuber that we will discuss is Mark Fishbach, or Markiplier. There's not much to dig into when it comes to this. It's just at the end of the day, he's a genuine person, and he cares for the people that he's been able to get to know through his community. A good way to phrase it is he sets the impression that he is informed. He does his research, he's a smart guy, and he sets his intelligence at a high bar because he knows as a content creator he has to deliver messages to his audience. And he has dreams just like all of us, and you have to do research in order to follow your dreams, you know? Even though he's setting this intelligent standard, he's still sometimes able to do that kind of slurry, goofy kind of approach to it. And it adds comedy to it because he sets this intelligence and he does that, and it's like, wait, what the heck? I know that's probably me reading way into it, but I think it's funny, and there's a reason it's funny, so good job, Mark. This seems really sarcastic. It's not. I'm just trying to have an interesting delivery to this. The next YouTuber I wanted to talk about is from a completely different audience, but he's still from the gaming district. This YouTuber is The Gamer's Joint,
What's up, guys? It's Cynical, and
for those that know him, they might know him as the content creator for Kingdom Hearts. But he had also done previous gaming videos on games such as Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, as well as certain Final Fantasy titles as well. Similar to Markiplier, he has a very articulated approach as well, and also has that goofy side to him. So in most of his content, he has an informative deliverable, similar to somewhat of an essay format. It sounds scripted, but it's delivered in a manner that makes it sound interesting. And of course, I already like Kingdom Hearts, and so I'm gonna be there anyway. But after watching his Kingdom Hearts videos to find out more about the game, I got to know his personality, and the personality itself is the content I came back for. What's slightly different about Cynical is in more of those informative face-to-face conversations that Markiplier had. Markiplier usually just had a straight message that he would deliver, and there wouldn't really be any outside edits or additional edits add-on. Cynical usually goes with the goofy zooms in the faces and stuff like that, just to add that extra element to it. Both work amazingly. It's just a matter of what works personally for you, and it works great for both of them, so good job. he's not the strongest communicator. There have been a couple scenarios where he stepped away from the environment and would come back a couple months later saying that, I'm sorry for the pause, I just need to step away from a little bit, but now I'm back. Which is great, and I'm glad to see him, but it's just a matter of communication. Anyway, I digress. The point I'm trying to make is not to roast anybody. The point I'm making is that they're both creating a form of content that encourages me to come back to the platform, not only because of the content that they're covering, but soon after, the personalities that they're conveying. The direct communication that they make face-to-face with the camera, just like in this manner, it makes me feel like we're having this conversation. It makes me want to be there. I'm like, I want to be in that video, man. Come on. So the takeaway on this element of speech and language that they exemplify is to just set a standard and roll with it. That way, the audience recognizes who they're talking to, and they can set that form of consistency. Check in on your own satisfaction. After a long day of recording, are you satisfied with what you're making? When you send over the footage to your editor, are you satisfied with what you recorded? These are the questions that you ask, This is the process of assessing your current content. Disregard viewership and viewer retention rates and click-through rates. And just forget about all that for a second. Do you like the content that you make? If the answer is yes, great. Thanks for watching. We're not done yet, sorry. If it makes you happy, then you're being true to yourself and you're being true to your audience. Now, if you're true to yourself and you're not getting good viewership, time to plug. I would check out one of my previous videos, Building Your Brand, on my YouTube channel. In that video, I mentioned other brands, YouTubers, companies that are currently on the YouTube platform who have enacted extremely successful strategies to grow their channel and gave really good tips of their own. But let's get back to the task at hand. Hey, back here, right here, let's go. Again, life gets in the way and it causes the content that you might be trying to make to decrease in value. And you might not be getting the output that you're looking for. School gets in the way, work gets in the way, payments get in the way, demotivation, depression, stress, whatever it is, these factors can hit your channel creations hard. So if you lack the time or if you're not in a correct mindset in order to create strong content, here are some things that you can try and consider doing for when you are ready. For the case that you're not happy with your content, reassess the content and see the factors that you're not really happy with. Were you not proud of what you were creating? Was it the certain content that you were covering, like a bad game or a bad tutorial that you had created, a poor product, whatever it may be? Pride directly affects quality in this case. Throw up an equation. Pride equals quality. They're directly connected. So if you're not collecting pride from the content that you're creating, then you're not gaining quality from the content that you're creating either. That's why it's important to analyze some of the factors that make you happy to watch some of your favorite YouTubers' content. Now, don't copy your favorite YouTubers' content. Like, don't just straight up rip off some of the stuff that they were doing, but, browse as you do. If that content that you're watching makes you excited enough to say, I want to do that, or like I said before, I want to be in that video so bad, you may want to set that as a personal goal towards your future. Now, of course, you're not going to be ripping out large-scale MrBeast or Heist with Markiplier projects right from the get-go. You might not have the funding or even the team to be able to assemble that yet. That's why it's good to meet your community and meet new people, meet new workers who have the same drives that you do. I know for my personal goal, I wanted to create content that was similar to some of my favorite YouTubers. In regards to both the YouTubers I mentioned before, both Markiplier and Cynical do gaming videos. I indeed am a fan of gaming, but I also adore the community that they have grown. I'll literally find myself after a video wanting to see the comment section to see some of the people's reactions. And it's not even in a negative way. Like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I can't wait to see somebody yelling at this other person and for all of them to start like yelling at each other and then they're gonna have a fist fight and it's gonna be shit. Like, I don't want that. I love seeing the comments of like, oh, I love you. What I meant to say was, I love seeing the comments where it's just like, I miss seeing you on your channel, I miss your content brings me through the day. Oh my god! 2 goals in my personal mindset are to start with my comfort zone, gaming, and set a personal goal, which is first building that community. Because when I find myself in times of trouble, the audience comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Copyright. And after analyzing the factors that makes you happy to watch other YouTubers' content, try gaming, try general videos, try tutorials, try comedy skits, whatever it may be. The only true limitation to your power and your creativity is yourself. And the 6th and final factor that I wanted to discuss is, in fact, the most important in my personal opinion. take care of yourself. Regardless of the other factors that I mentioned here, health is by far the #1 most important factor. Whether this is a matter of physical or mental health, it is extremely important. Don't feel like it's selfish to step away because you need to go to the ER to get an appendicitis treatment. Like, don't feel selfish for doing that. Life happens, and you need to step away. It's a bonus to be able to communicate to your audience to let them know that you're okay. It's good that you communicate with your audience to let them know that you're alive and well. But this is not to be expected, especially if it's some kind of ER trip. Like, take care of that and then come back and be like, so I almost died. And then content. Whew. Okay, gang, that about sums up everything I wanted to cover in terms of the online mindset. As a matter of fact, this actually sums up this trilogy of videos.
Whoa. Nice.
For those of you who have stuck through all 3, thank you so much. And also, what are you doing? My main goal from this entire process is to become acquainted with the community. Regardless if this is connected to my personal, like, to a brand, I just want to be part of one of those communities. I might be able to contribute my own opinions and be able to contribute a certain extent of my energy. I want to be part of one of those communities that you see from Markiplier's community or the Gamers Joint or PewDiePie or Smosh. It seems lovely. I love that! The biggest area I need to improve, and I'm sure by all the stuttering and the cuts that you've seen in the trilogy, speech and language. I don't know if I want to sound all intelligent and fancy or like outlandish and silly, you know? Like, what's my angle? Maybe a bit of both? But the biggest takeaway is the potential to meet people from all around the world. Like, that is surreal. I've been so acquainted to this little tiny bubble of my life. If I can be part of any of that, like, I'd be so grateful. And like, create content and see the reactions that people have to things they work really hard on. Like, that's what I'm most excited about. For those that have come by the past couple weeks to see like my intro video and some of my Twitch advertisements and stuff like that, like the small stuff, like, it's been a pure delight.
Afternoon delight.
I am so excited to get to know you and YouTube. But again, thank you so much, gang, for all of your support and your love, comments, just everything. Thank you. And just for being here. I love you. Brenly Carmine and the other creators that I mentioned within this video, their social medias as well as their channels will also be available in the description below. But I'll see you on the flippity dippity. Stay classy. Stay lovely. I love you all.